This is an orthokeratology case where the patient has previously worn other lenses with poor success, was refitted into wave lenses, but is still not getting full correction. And if we look at the posterior topographies, it does look like this lens is moving around quite a bit during the night and resulting in less than expected correction of myopia. So if we bring up the lens, it looks fairly standard, except the power is a little bit high, kind of a flat base curve. I'm not sure if this is maybe the second lens where increased topo demand had been added, or if we just kind of aim for a higher target right from the get-go. With a patient like this, I think it would be a good idea to switch to a semiscleral lens. That lens will be very stable on the cornea. We'll concentrate the treatment exactly where we need it, and I have seen patients who have done very well after switching to this type of lens when other types of lenses have not worked. So we can use the original lens as our baseline. Um, I measured the HVID and I believe it came out to about 11.8. Roughly, yeah, 11.8. So I would go with a 13.8 diameter lens for this patient. Best way to do that is just go into the configuration settings. You can start with your standard Ortho K for myopia preset, but then change your parameters here. So we're going to go to a 13.8. I do like fairly hefty edge and center thicknesses for semiscleral lenses. And then we can go with our traditional 6.2 and 6.8 OZ and IC placement. Edge angles for lenses worn at nighttime, I like to use a 39 to start with. And I'm going to hit continue and pause the video while the computer does its thinking. So here we have a new lens, 13.8 diameter, and we need to make just a few more modifications to get this lens ready for ordering and dispensing. One thing I would do is probably decrease the central clearance a little bit. I'm not sure why it's so high. Because this lens is landing mostly on the cornea, it's not going to settle very much like a traditional semiscleral lens. We don't need that much central clearance to start with. Around 3 microns I think is good. The other thing we want to do is give ourselves a little bit more clearance in the limbus. So I usually like to give ourselves, actually, what we'll do first is set this at the HVID. And about 25 microns. About 28, which is fine. Our edge is a little bit flat now, so I am going to steepen that a little bit and bring this back to 39. And it looks like our central clearance has dropped a little bit, so we'll bump that back up. Alright, so now we have a lens with about 25 microns of clearance right at the limbus, edge angle of 39. If you haven't fit very many semiscleral lenses in the past, then this is going to be a little bit different. The application removal, cleaning, all that might be a little bit different what your patients are used to. But as far as stability goes, this is probably the best way to stabilize the lens on the eye. I did reduce the power to about a 1.5. I think with a stable lens, we will get more molding, and we don't necessarily have to use a higher topo demand. And again, this is just the first lens. You will still have to troubleshoot how the edge fits, how much bearing you're really getting centrally, and make some modifications from there. And again, that will be a little bit different from corneal lenses as a semiscleral design here. The same design can be applied to the left eye, and I think that should work out quite well for your patient, give you a very, very well-formed reverse curve, and take care of the residual myopia that the patient has. Without going to semiscleral, some strategies I might try would be to still increase the diameter of the lens. I think we can go all the way up to maybe an 11.6 on this patient, which should help stabilize the lens, and maybe increase the sagittal depth. So click down on the blue dot a couple times to get more bearing in the periphery to see if that will hold this lens in place a little bit better. That may work. I think going to semi-scleral will be more effective and probably a little bit faster, and that's what I'd recommend as long as you're comfortable with that type of lens. So those are my thoughts on this case. I hope they're helpful. Best of luck with your patient, and thanks for watching.